Hey, what's up, everybody? Today I'm going to tell you why you should avoid ratemyprofessors.com. The main problem with the Rate My Professor website is that there's not a lot of middle ground there. Generally, the only students that leave reviews are the ones who either love or hate the professor. And so I'm going to demonstrate here by showing you my Rate My Professor page. Keep in mind, mine only has just a few ratings. Some have literally hundreds or thousands. But generally speaking, the trend is kind of the same. I think you'll find that more often than not, students are either 5.0 or 1.0, and you don't find a lot of 2, 3s, and 4s in there. So let's take a quick look at my Rate My Professor page. Now, the first thing you'll notice if you go to my Rate My Professor page and scroll down a little bit, you'll see my overall quality there on the left, the 4.1, as well as some tags for this professor. And the tags, I think, are a little bit more representative of who the professor is. That's probably a little bit more reliable. But for today, we're just going to focus on that overall quality, the 4.1 right there, which is a score out of 5. So that's pretty solid. Now, this 4.1 is the average score of all of my ratings. So basically, the system is taking all of the ratings that have been entered in for me. It's adding them up and dividing it by the amount of ratings that they are. So 4.1 out of 5 is relatively high. So if you go down the page just a little bit more, you'll see there on the left side that there have been 19 total ratings. That really isn't very many when you think about I've been teaching for like 7 years. So not very many students have gotten on to submit a rating. But you should definitely include this information, the amount of ratings that they are, if you're going to focus on the professor's overall quality rating. So this probably makes my overall 4.1 out of 5 a little less impressive. So what I've done here is I've scrolled through and tallied up all of the ratings that I have and put them here on the screen for you so that you can kind of see that I'm actually surprised to see that there's more 2.0s than 1.0s because it kind of runs counter to my entire argument here. But if we look and just say, okay, there's 13 total scores that represent those polar kind of sides of the rating system here. There's 13 out of 19 and only 6 represent the middle ground that I'm talking about. And also, I'm not going to lie here. I'm a little hyped to see that 12 out of my 19 students who have made ratings for me gave me a 5.0. It means I must be doing something right. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but yeah, I'm a pretty awesome professor, dude. Now, I also picked out a few random professors at random other colleges and universities just to see if the trend still rings true. Like I said, generally speaking, it does. I looked at professors who had some of the same amount of ratings that I do, some that had over 1,000. And obviously I'm not going to go through 1,000 ratings, but just scrolling through kind of the first couple of pages shows me that, generally speaking, there's a lot of 5.0s and a lot of 1 or 2.0s in there as well. I will say I was a little surprised to see that, generally there's more 2.0s than 1.0s. That was kind of surprising to me. 2.0, of course, is a little bit closer to the middle ground, obviously, than 1.0. So that was, but I'd have to do more extensive research to see if it truly contradicts what I believe about Rate My Professor. But generally speaking, I think you can see here just by looking at my page that it's a going trend. There's not a lot of middle ground there. Now, because there's not a lot of middle ground there, that you're kind of at either extreme, the 5 or the 1.0, it's not an accurate descriptor of who that professor is or the job that they do or the work that they put towards teaching their students. And so I'm finding, to be honest, in my experience, students respond better on the Rate My Professor website to professors who have outgoing or exuberant personalities, who might be a little bit unconventional, maybe like to tell jokes in class, whereas the lower ratings tend to be professors who are really dry. They're just there to do their job. They're not necessarily the most friendly person in the world, and they might be incredibly boring as well. And so that is also part of the problem of Rate My Professor, is that a lot of times students aren't really rating the job that the professor does. They're rating the professor's mood. They're rating their attitude. And so that's something that you have to keep in mind if you use this website as well. Now, I'm not saying the website is completely useless or that you should avoid it altogether. I'm just saying that you have to take it with a grain of salt. Another thing that you're going to find on there are the comments not just the rating, but the comment that the student leaves. And a lot of times, that comment might just be a quick statement, and they're trying. I mean, you can't accurately summarize the job that a professor does, in just a sentence or two or a short paragraph. A semester's worth of work and lecture is a complex thing, and so you kind of, like I said, just take it with a grain of salt. I'm not saying completely avoid the website. I'm just saying it shouldn't be the end all be all way of ranking your professor. You shouldn't make a decision about whether you're going to take that professor or not just because of their Rate My Professor rating. One thing you could do instead is talk to people at your school or friends or whoever who have maybe taken that professor in the past. Um, or you can look on the school's website. Some schools actually make it publicly viewable to be able to see student opinions and scores. That's a little bit more accurate because Rate My Professor, generally, I have 19 ratings, as you saw. I've taught hundreds of students. It just so happens that only 19 of them have decided to get on and leave me a rating. Whereas my student opinion scores, generally speaking, almost all of my students every semester fill those out at the end of the semester. And so it's probably going to be a little bit more accurate. It's going to be a little bit more fair and give you a better idea of the job that professor does. And so there you go. There's a few reasons why you should avoid ratemyprofessors.com. Or if you can't avoid it and you actually like that interface, then good for you. I just say take it with a grain of salt. Again, it shouldn't be the one thing that you look at that is representative of the job that the professor does. So until next time, good luck in all your endeavors. I hope to see you soon.